She mixes it up with the tone of her voice. Hello.
Ooh, yes. Welcome to
Mind Body Stuff. Well, we're in Minneapolis.
We're trying to spice things up,
Yeah.
as you can tell.
We're traveling.
On the podcast, in our relationship.
That's right. That's how you should do it, folks. Keep the spice going.
Yeah, that's right. Even with your podcast buddy.
Always with your podcast partner.
Yes, Bernice is right. We are traveling. We're in the Twin Cities right now. We just did Q2 workshop with a amazing group of women.
It was awesome. Great Q2 stuff on body love, from
Body love
armor to armoire. You take your armor off and you put it in your armoire. Where are we going to buy armor today? In your armoire.
That's right.
And then you take it out when you need it.
That's, yes.
Mm-hmm. Very helpful.
Very handy.
Very handy and helpful.
Handy and helpful.
Yes.
So, for those of you who tuned into our podcast of me interviewing Bernice, I thought that was a real good interview.
She is more of a journalist than I am, I would say.
I am. But
Yeah.
I'm also an extremely curious human being.
That's what makes you a good journalist. Like, you would be great, like, in the Rose Garden.
I'm going to be like...
Excuse me, Mr. President, excuse me.
I'm going to be like the worst old person. People are going to hate talking to me. I'm going to be like, well, tell me more about that.
That's awesome, though.
Now
People love to talk about themselves.
That's true.
That's what my husband always says, because I have social anxiety.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, don't worry, B, just ask them a few questions, because people love to talk about themselves.
Sure.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Of course they do.
Well, you had very fascinating stuff for us to talk about, so you were a very, very easy interview.
I thought mine was quite good,
my
with you,
friend.
but just so everyone knows, you should listen to that podcast. Blow your mind.
That one wasn't as good.
All right.
But my life also, I'm just not as interesting as you are.
I don't think that's true.
It is true. So one of the things that came up in that podcast, for those of you who have not listened, is Bernice's diet.
Mm-hmm.
Which then on Facebook, in the ULA community page on Facebook, if you're not a member, you should join. But a discussion came up about this topic of food and what we eat. And so to just give you guys a little backstory, I was talking about how Bernice basically, your diet, I don't want to say your diet's bad, because your diet's not bad. It's not bad. But it's not great either.
It's not a stellar diet.
It's not a stellar diet. But we were talking about how your skin is so amazing and you're ageless and you have bountiful energy. And what I find fascinating about that is the principle that it's not so much important what you eat. It's the importance or the intention that you give to the food that you're putting into your body. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if Bernice is thinking, wow, 3 peanut M&Ms are going to change my life, I believe those 3 M&Ms will then change her life.
And they do.
And they do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Bernice thought, I don't know if I should be eating these, I feel guilty eating this, I shouldn't do it, then I don't think the peanut M&Ms are going to have a positive effect on her body. But Bernice, you use peanut M&Ms as like they're your lifesaver.
They're like my life fuel.
They're like your fuel. Like this woman runs on peanut M&Ms.
Everyone's like, that's bad.
Well, it's interesting.
It is interesting. I think I do have a blood sugar problem.
You have a blood sugar problem.
So, and I tend towards low blood sugar. After I had my first kid, it got worse for whatever reason. It just changed the composition of my body a little bit. And so I learned that I never overdo. It's never like I eat a whole bag of peanut M&Ms.
But you guys, I'm staring at a bag of peanut M&Ms right now. But they're always around.
Yes.
They are like this security blanket that you have with you all the time, because you know they're going to change your life when you eat them.
Yes, and this is, in my mind anyway, and I'm sure this isn't true if we looked at it nutritionally, but in my mind, you've got the peanut, which you've got the protein, you've got the chocolate, has a little sort of endorphin boost in the chocolate, right? And you've got the sugar. So we get our blood sugar back up a little bit. So we've got 3 essential things I need, which is some protein, some sugar, and some endorphin boost from the chocolate.
Totally.
And boom. And then I eat 3, maybe 5.
Five's a big moment for you.
5's a lot. I'm overdoing, but that means I'm kind of needing
You're
more.
really needing
more.
You need a little boost there.
Need a little boost. And then I'm done for maybe 2 or 3 hours. Then I go back.
Yeah. And basically, you do this all day long. I mean, you started your day with some peanut M&Ms. I watched you this morning.
Here they are. I'm lifting them up. Pretty still full. Let me
fill that bag. I had some today, so I definitely. But when
full.
I eat peanut M&Ms, I'm like, I'll eat 15.
She knows. Everyone knows.
And then
she
gets this look in her eye. She's like, I don't think you should eat those.
They know to say, I'm only having a few.
Is it okay if I just take a couple? But then she watches how many you put in your hand. Like, I'm going to die if you eat those. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? You want me to die? Because that's what's going to happen if you eat my M&Ms.
This is my life source.
And then I have to remind her that there's a grocery store right down the street. There's more. There's always more.
That's right. There's more peanut M&Ms.
But I would like to, so I would just like to introduce where, from just a purely scientific standpoint, you could look at, or I guess maybe the way that a health conscious person would look at,
like a nutritionist.
Yeah, a nutritionist may look at this and they may say, yeah, but you've got all of this simple sugar that's going to spike your sugar, and then you're going to have a drop from it. You've got
fat, probably.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'm not concerned about fat because I think fat is sustaining and nourishing, but that's a whole different story. Maybe we'll get to that in this podcast. But then you've got the dyes, and dyes are linked to, this like, isn't the red one what they are most concerned about? The like red ink.
Yeah, and like, one of Ray's friends, one of his young friends is like,
we don't eat.
I tried to give
colors.
him the M&M. He's like, I can't eat that. I can't eat the dye, and he has ADHD, and he's on the spectrum a little bit. But it's good. He knows his diet. Yeah. But he knows that kind of triggers him.
That triggers it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't even think about the dye.
The dye.
I'm so sorry. That
Yeah. And so it's fascinating to me that, oftentimes we may associate a poor diet with feeling not so great.
Yeah.
Or we would see like repercussions of maybe some of the other food habits you have as well.
Bacon?
Lots of bacon. Coke. Like you have a lot.
I try to drink that much Coke, but see, now we're on a trip, and so really I want a chai tea.
You want a chai tea, but the chai tea you get is just so full of sugar.
Laced in sugar. It's the sweet chai, everyone, just so you know.
But the thing is, that's also interesting, is that I would say that I have a better diet than you.
You have a very good diet. Yeah, you do.
And I'm conscientious about what I eat and all that, but I would probably say that you feel better than I feel.
I might. I have maybe more energy sometimes.
You have more energy than me.
I'm not sure,
So if like food is life, and if food is our life source, then I would think by what I eat that I would have more energy and that I would feel better in my body. But it's not true. It's just not true. And so this is where I find this is where I think it gets really interesting, because I don't always think that so my kind of story with food, and you have a really different story with food, and I think your story with food is also interesting. So my story with food is when I started not feeling great, I went through this time period where I got extremely lethargic, like you guys, to the point that when I would run errands with Rob, like I would fall asleep in the car and I wouldn't go into the grocery store because I was too tired. Like I was so lethargic. My hair was falling out. Like I had all these weird health things going on. So what I did is I started to really dive into nutrition and like figuring out how to basically heal my body. And I do think healthy living, and I think food actually is really important, and that's why I haven't kind of ditched my way of eating to just eat like, gas station pizza, like sometimes you do. But what I did is I dove really deeply into studying and learning about food, different like blood type diets, even like I would sprout all of my seeds and nuts, and I'd soak all my beans, and I'd cook beans from scratch, and I went through a vegan phase, and I went through a like an Ayurvedic eating for that body type that I am, Pitta, if anyone cares.
Pitta.
What else? Like I had all these different kind of tests done, like blood tests done, and I really dove deeply into it. And I will say that the thing that has made me feel the best is, I don't know, maybe just having a positive relationship with food. And as I've gone through my food journey, and as I've gone through my health journey, I think it does have a lot to do with the energy or the idea that I have behind the food.
The intent,
or yes, what energy I've put into that food. Because for me, like one of my favorite, we just played this game last week where we asked everyone in the room, like, if you could only eat one thing, one meal for the rest of your life, you had to eat it at every single meal. It doesn't matter if it's healthy. It doesn't matter if it's, the content of it does not matter. Just what would you eat for the rest of your life? And at first I kind of did this elaborate one, and they're like, stop. Because I was like, can it be 3 courses? Because here's my thought on it. And they're like, no, pick a food. And mine would totally be bread and butter with an insane amount of butter. You guys, I got an English muffin this morning at breakfast, and I got 4 patties of butter for my English muffin. Because here's the thing, bread and butter makes me feel really good, and it makes me so happy. And so I do not feel even an ounce of guilt when I put maybe 4 servings of what they would consider a serving of butter on my bread. Because I believe deeply that butter makes me feel good, and I deeply believe that butter is good for the brain. So especially while I'm pregnant, I eat a disgusting amount of butter to the average person. But my point is, I think that butter is good for me. I know that butter makes me feel good. I love bread and butter, so I don't think bread and butter has any negative impact on me.
I love that.
But, maybe from like a nutritionist standpoint, white bread and butter is maybe not the best option for me, So starting to just think about these things is interesting.
And that's where I think, again, I'm going to get back to one of our ULA sayings, sort of, is you're the expert on you. And I really believe that in terms of knowing your body, knowing who you are, and knowing what works for you. And kind of experimenting with that. So, I have experimented with, like, I'll eat healthy. I'll eat some fruit on this as a snack. But, of course, for my blood sugar, it doesn't work real good.
Even fruit, even though it's sugar?
No, it doesn't. It kind of goes up a little bit, not enough. I think it's just not complex enough. And so it doesn't really lift me out, and then it drops right away. So I still feel terrible. I feel terrible. So I've experimented with a lot of different foods, and that's how I arrived at the peanut M&Ms over years and years of experimentation. Because it was like, if I had to eat one food, and if that's all I had, because I was in graduate school years ago, but you'd be stuck there for like 6 hours.
Yeah, sure.
And I'd be like, oh, I forgot my lunch, but I'd have this bag of peanut M&Ms, and I would eat like 3, like every hour. And I'm like, that was enough to sustain me through the 6 hours. So my brain could keep working, I could keep engaging with everybody. But I would experiment with different foods. What would keep me kind of going? And that was one of the foods. As horrendous as it sounds. But of course, that doesn't work for everybody, as we know.
I think one of the problems, though, is 2 things. And you just touched on this. You are the expert on you. And I think oftentimes we're always looking for somebody else to tell us what is good for us.
Yes.
What is good for me? What's healthy? What's good
for me? What should I eat?
What should I be eating? And there's now a lot of problems with this because there's a lot of money in the food industry, and there's a lot of people who are pushing their agenda and calling it healthy. So for me, like anything that's like low fat or fat-free yogurt is bogus. Like yogurt, if you're eating it, should be full fat, in my opinion.
I just got in a fight with my sister about this in Hawaii.
What does she think?
Full-fledged fight at dinner.
She thinks you should.
Where I almost had to leave the dining room table. Like, I might hate you. Because I said, I bought 2% milk to have with the meal.
Sure.
And I said, my mom, the grandmother of our grandchildren,
yes,
of all our children, it can have 2% milk. My mom is 90 years old, and she's in very good shape. And my sister's like, that is ridiculous. She does not need any fat. My mom is not overweight in any way.
Right.
But it's bad for her. She can only have skim milk. So we had a huge fight about fat content. And that she should be buying real butter, not the fake butter.
Right.
But it was massive. My sister totally believes in the
non-fat, low-fat.
Non-fat.
But the thing is, when they take out the fat, they usually add sugar.
I told her
that. And I think sugar is much more of a problem on our systems than fat. However, again, if you believe that your fat-free Chobani yogurt is the best absolute way to start your day, then that's what you need to eat. So there are two sides to this coin for sure. But when we look to somebody else to tell us what is going to be good for us, then we have disempowered ourselves. We've disempowered ourselves, and we've said somebody else is the expert. Somebody
and not
else
staying curious about ourselves.
Well, and yes,
like when I ingest this food,
totally,
no matter if it's healthy or unhealthy, how do I feel?
Totally,
right.
And I think that another big issue here is that most people, are pretty numb in their bodies.
Oh, yeah, good point.
And I think a lot of people just eat. And they don't take the time to actually ask the question, how is this making my body feel?
Having a dialogue with your
body. Checking in. How does this feel? I think that's the reason why a lot of people, eat really fast or overeat or maybe eat foods that actually aren't making them feel good because they just aren't tuned into how their body is feeling.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And, we use food for a lot of different things. We use food actually to numb out pain. We use food in a lot of ways that maybe aren't super nourishing. And I think the effects are then not super nourishing. But for example, and I've given this example before at trainings or workshops or whatever, but when I go on vacation, I don't exercise and I don't restrict my food. Like, I pretty much eat whatever I want to eat. And the interesting thing about that is usually on vacation, I feel really good. And I do, I know that there's taboo about the scale, but I do have a scale at my house. And I find it interesting because I usually don't gain any weight or I lose weight on vacations. I'm talking 2 weeks in England eating scones with clotted cream and, whatever else.
Batter fried cod.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fish and chips. Honestly, not restricting, just eating things that taste so good and I'm enjoying them so much. And I stopped to think, okay, how interesting is this? Because if I'm at home and I'm doing ULA several times a week and I'm conscientious about what I'm preparing for meals because I do like to eat healthy. I mean, it doesn't feel like a chore, but it's fascinating that I could change my diet and eat anything I want and not exercise and my body actually responds really positively to that. And I think because there's this piece of I am really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. And it tastes good and I'm on vacation and moving slow and allowing myself to really experience it and enjoy it. And I find that fascinating. What do you, I don't know. I'm also curious about your relationship with food at times too, because you were anorexic.
I was anorexic.
But it seems to me that you don't have a lot of residual stuff
from your
anorexia.
And that
Would you say that's true?
I don't as much. What happened is my body stepped in.
Yeah.
My body, the expert, stepped in.
Yes.
Because I was very good in my 20s at starving myself. Very good. Stellar starver. On top of it. 5'10", 125.
Sure.
So thin, thinking I'm rocking my bathing suit's so loose. My bikini bottoms are just barely sitting on my hip bones. reasons.
Right.
And then I got married and I had my first kid because I wanted to have a kid before I was 30 for whatever reason. It was sort of an arbitrary date for myself. So I had a kid at 29, a daughter, and then after I had my daughter, there was this sort of shift in my makeup, physical makeup, where I remember going out shopping with friends, and I hadn't eaten for a while. Like, I wouldn't, I'm like, whatever, I'm just starved. And we went out, and suddenly they were like, let's get something to eat. It's lunchtime. And I'm like, I'm not hungry. And then I looked up, and I felt so dizzy. And my blood sugar just crashed, and I was going to faint. It never happened to me before. Anyway, this low blood sugar issue jumped in my way of my anorexia and made it impossible for me to starve myself. And it was very frustrating because I was so good at it. It was just like, are you kidding me? I have to eat again? Like, this is ridiculous.
Did you not get pleasure out of eating? Or like, what? Because for me...
For the anorexia, I got pleasure out of control.
Not eating. So that control was more pleasurable than food.
And there's some research on that. I'm sure some of you have heard about it. When you reach that starvation stage, sometimes endorphins kick in, and you feel kind of high, kind of like, yeah,
okay, so
I go for a walk, and so you get a little buzz, like of starving. I wasn't really starving, obviously, but of not eating for a long period of time, and then that part gets a little addicting. That kind of feeling of like control, like I don't have to eat like you do, or you do, or you do, and I also get a little endorphin boost, so it becomes sort of addictive.
Yeah,
and it definitely did. And I learned from a friend, by the way, that some of those eating disorders are easy to learn from someone else.
Yeah.
So I saw a friend do it in college, and I'm like, what's she doing? Because we'd go out to eat, and she's like, I'll have a burger, and then she would eat like 2 bites of it. I'm like, she left it. So then it became a competition, like, I'll have 1 bite.
They're so competitive.
So I'm like, I'll have half a bite of that burger. And that perfectionist quality, too, like competitive perfection. It's like, I'm even better, but of course, it led to my undoing after I had my child. Because, I never recovered. I've always had low blood sugar since that time period, and I have been unable to starve myself.
Have you wanted to at times, though?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, God, I wish I could just starve myself. And I'll try. And then either Kaylee or
So even to this day?
Even like you guys, someone will say, like my neighbor Sarah will come over and she's like, have you eaten? And I'm like, yeah. But I'll be doing something grumpy around the kitchen, and she's like, you should probably eat something. You're acting kind of weird. And I'm like, I feel fine. But then I'll eat something, and then I realize I'm just pushing the envelope of that, trying to, and then my mood changes very drastically. So, yeah, I couldn't starve myself, and I can't anymore. Even if I want to, I can't. Which has been, I thank my body for kind of stepping in and saying, sorry, you kind of screwed it up.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore. You don't get to do that anymore. You got to eat. And I found, it's unusual, but for my way of being, that's what's worked for me. And also, I think, when I was growing up, I was, my parents ate very healthy, very healthy eaters, and so certain things weren't allowed. And so even now, I'm like, I'm going to have a Coke, because I was never allowed to have Coke, or bacon, not too much bacon. And Kaylee's seen this where it's almost like I'm living the dream, where it's like,
you're like, I got my Coke and my bacon. Life is made.
Look at me, folks.
Yeah.
I'm on top of the world. This morning I got 2 slices of bacon with my eggs.
Yeah.
But it's weird, isn't it? If you think about it, like how some of our dietary stuff comes from our childhood. Don't you think? In certain instances, for me, it's almost, I'm still rebelling from my childhood about, drinking a Coke or having bacon.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm 56. Like, hello, of course. You can have bacon whenever you want.
You can eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the bacon actually makes you feel good.
If I don't overdo bacon. Everything in moderation, folks. Bacon, peanut M&Ms, pizza. It has to be in moderation, because here's another story about diet. After I had my first kid, I had trouble again, as I said, with my blood sugar. So I started to eat a lot of processed meats. Don't ask me why. And it might be because processed meats kind of keep the blood sugar. They're hard for the body to process.
Yeah, they've
time. Got fat in them. Fat makes it harder to digest and kind of absorb.
It's slower.
So I got kind of hooked on, all right, salami, maybe some hot dogs.
Okay, salami and hot dogs.
So maybe I was overdoing it a little bit on the salami and hot dogs.
Yeah.
And then I started to have seizures.
Uh-huh.
Oops.
Oopsies.
And I had some great doctors, and they're like, why don't you keep a journal of what you're eating?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept a journal, and sure enough, after, 4 hot dogs and bacon all day, and some maybe salami sandwiches, I'd have a seizure.
Sorry, I'm not trying to say gross.
I'd have a seizure. And they were like, you might want to cut out those processed meats and see if the seizures stop. And I'm like, oh, well, that's bright of you folks. So I did, and the seizures stopped. Mm-hmm. And so I do have to be kind of aware of not...
of your bacon.
But again, a blessing to my body in a weird way of like, it's just telling me all the time, like, that's kind of bad. Mm-hmm. Better pay attention.
Yeah.
And I think all our bodies, I think you brought up a good point, Kaylee, in terms of, how we're kind of numb to our bodies trying to communicate with us.
Yes.
But if we take that time to start that dialogue, to start listening to our bodies, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
And then, if in moderation I can have a little bit of that, will that work for you, body? Mm-hmm. And the body's like, yes, a little bit would be great. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So I think it is a really important part to open up that dialogue, to open up that curiosity in terms of like not doing exactly what the shoulds of the world tell you to do, but being more curious about you, yourself, and your body, and what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I also, I think that food is, I also think about who I'm giving my money to. Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the reasons that I shop exclusively at our natural grocery store is because if I feel like the process start to finish of the creation of my food was out of, with love and with good intention and created by people who cared about what they were making, then I believe that it also has a better effect on my body. Mm-hmm. That's something that I believe. And so when I am supporting a small farmer or, I was going through this big debate with myself earlier this year. Some of you, I posted about it, but if I eating dairy or not eating dairy.
This is a great story, by the way. I love what Kaylee did because she actually went and then researched what her concerns were and found someone to answer her questions.
Yeah, so my concern wasn't so much as I don't know if dairy is healthy for me, which is I know a reason why a lot of people don't eat dairy because there is science behind it, and I know that for some people it's inflammatory and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mucus building.
Yeah, mucus building, and so for me, it wasn't so much about that because I think that cheese makes me feel fantastic. In fact, I just had some really good cheese just now.
Big block of very expensive cheese.
I did. I bought a big block of nice cheese, and I very much enjoy it.
She's like, how did we spend $100 at the grocery store? I'm like, how much was that block of cheese?
I know. And my green juice. I think my green juice was like $5
kind of pricey, but I blamed
it on us. It was my fault.
It was good stuff, though. It was good stuff.
Well, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so for me, $5 is worth it to start my day feeling amazing with green juice because it does make me feel good. So, anyways, with this dairy thing, I was more concerned with the humanity of the cows, and so for me, I'm not going to feel as good if I know that this poor animal has no ability to move its body, is hooked up to this machine or the animal is then pumped full of hormones so that it produces more milk, and then for me to just mindlessly eat these dairy products, that to me is going to have an energetically negative effect on my body because I care about that.
And even how you had heard that they took the baby cows
away from their mothers so that the moms could keep producing enough milk for us to consume. And then you'd hear about these poor screaming cows being ripped from their mothers, the mothers like screaming for their calves, and the calves going to live in isolation basically. And then they're being bottle fed by like fake milk product basically so that we can drink their milk. And to me, that's horrifying. It is horrifying to me. And even this morning, I had to use a creamer at this hotel that we're at that's not from, you know, a farm that I feel good about. And I had a hard time. Granted, I still did it, so obviously my conviction isn't that strong, although it should be. But I really felt bad about it. Mm-hmm. Now, what I was interested in is there a humane way to be doing this? And so we have a local farm / dairy that's about an hour's drive from our town, and I emailed them and I scheduled a visit for me and my family, and I talked to, obviously Piper doesn't get it, she is too young, but I talked to Huxley about it, and I said, here's what happens when we drink milk, and here's what happens when we eat cheese, and here's what happens when we eat eggs, and here's what happens when we eat meat. Okay, so now I want to show you what this process looks like. And I want to go see for myself too. I want to see where these baby calves are, because they do at a time separate them from their moms. I want to see how this process, I want to see these animals, and I want to be able to look at this process and make my decision based on how I feel about the source of my food and how these animals are being treated. And the owner of this farm, Jen, amazing woman, this farm is Lifeline. She took my family on a tour of all of the animals, all of them. She let us see all of the animals. She let us see the whole process of everything. She let my girls go and get eggs, and we got to take the eggs home. Like, the process made me feel really good about using their products. And I exclusively buy their dairy products at our grocery store because I feel good about their product, and then their product in turn makes me feel good in my body.
Yeah.
And there's something to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, everyone, where is your food coming from? Where's your food coming from? Who is the person who grew this food? How happy is the person who is on the conveyor belt, you know, packaging up your food? How much does this company who you are supporting, how well are they taking care of their employees? How well are they taking care of the animals that are going into the production of your food? That is the stuff that makes me sick. Mm-hmm. When I think about some more, you know, just like massively produced food products, that makes me sick to think about. Mm-hmm. And then in turn, I don't think their food makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. And then I believe that eating that type of food can lead to disease. Mm-hmm. These are my beliefs, and I think that they become my truths. Mm-hmm. And I feel better when I support food and I support companies that I believe they're doing good work. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I really like to think about the energetic component of that as well. Yeah, I will put a massive slab of Lifeline butter on my toast, and I'm going to feel good about who I'm supporting, where my money goes, how that animal was treated, and then in turn, how it makes my body feel. The process feels good to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so funny to think about, like, over 50 years ago when my mom grew up, they all knew where their food came from.
Everybody knew where their food came from.
Because it was like, it's from Farmer Dan down the street.
Yeah.
You know, and you'd know the farmer, and you'd know the dairy person, and you'd know the pig farmer. Where we live in Hawaii, in Kahala, the area near where I grew up, was all pig farms. Mm-hmm. Now it's multi-million-dollar homes.
Sure. And you don't know where your pig. You don't know. You don't know the pigs. You don't know where
are the pigs?
You don't know where they are. We don't see pigs. No one's making us look at where our food is coming from anymore. It's all hidden in weird dark warehouses.
They've warehoused everything, and I think I have to say, I think now times are changing because of consumers like you. Mm-hmm. You know, because literally 20 years ago there wasn't organic stuff at the grocery store.
But 20 years before that, it was only organic.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So we went
through this. We have this desire to mass produce at very cheap prices, and that is really destructive, I believe.
It's problematic. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a lot of people even think about this. I don't think people think about where their food is coming, the energy that their food carries because of, if we're going to get like super crazy about this, the story of that food item. What is the story? And part of me is like, when I was not eating dairy, because I went through a phase where I was not eating dairy, then my husband is like, yeah, but you're eating, or you're drinking cashew, or you're eating cashew butter. Where is a cashew grown? Do you know how far they have to ship cashew butter to get to my plate?
Mm-hmm.
Or almond milk. Do you know that it takes a gallon of water to produce one almond? He's like, okay, I get what you're doing here, but you're also using a ton of resources to produce your non-dairy alternatives.
Oh, interesting.
And so for me, I was like, oh yeah, I live nowhere near a cashew farm, but I live very close to a dairy farm.
Yes.
And so there's also part of that is like, what is the environmental cost of the foods that we're eating? Mm-hmm. And that's really important to me. If we want our children, our grandchildren to have a beautiful place to call home, these things need to be in our minds.
Mm-hmm. And we probably have to keep fighting for them.
Yeah.
In terms of consumers.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what we want and what we want to purchase and
mm-hmm.
demanding
We have to be informed consumers.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can eat, you can eat a piece of white bread that is, from a bag that's produced halfway across the country by people who are just at their job and not loving it. And in my opinion, I don't know, I think that matters. I think I think it's going to have a different effect on my body than when I eat a piece of white bread, which, is not the healthiest type of bread to be eating. A piece of white bread that was produced at the bakery that is 10 blocks from my house that I drive by every day. I think it makes a difference to me. And that's why I think we all need to be really understanding, what does my body need, but also where does this line up with my values?
Yes.
Because I think when we act from a place of, these are my values and now my actions follow, or my actions are going in the direction of my values, the effect will be better.
Because it's congruous.
It's, yes. And there's not that discord between your values and your actions.
Right, which can cause, ill health.
Illness.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because it causes stress and, you're not following on the path that that is important to you.
That's important to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's good for us to define what that is for each of us, in our own lives.
And I also know that there's an element of privilege here. I know that I can afford to buy the $10 butter.
Point. Yeah, and some people can't afford to buy that.
And some people can't afford that. But I think that's also where, and I don't do this personally in my home, but when people, bless the food or ask the food to be blessed before they eat it, I think that kind of ties into what we're talking about. Is saying, please let this food bless my body and let this food have, keep me healthy.
And how they're thankful for it.
And grateful. Yes, yeah. I think that piece of gratitude is huge.
Because we've grown up in a a few generations here, where we haven't really been at a loss for food.
And
I think
we have a surplus of food.
I think the generations before my generation, a few generations before mine, like my mother's generation, like maybe during World War I or World War II, there was a very clear understanding in the Depression that there are times where there will not be enough food. And they are very grateful for their food, it seems like, to me.
Yeah, and they're much more conscientious
yes,
of it. And they don't like to waste.
No,
yes, they don't waste.
Yeah, they don't waste.
And now, because we have this surplus, you see people throwing away left and right. One of the biggest waste problems we have is food waste.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, someone was talking about that.
Rob talks about that a lot.
And now they're trying to get restaurants and other places to donate that food waste.
Yeah. Or to make smaller portions.
Yeah,
why does a portion have to be like 3 times the amount of food we should be eating?
I got pasta like that the other day. Luckily, I saved it and I ate it for 2 more meals, which was awesome because I'm busy in the summer. We don't cook.
Yeah.
But I was like, who could ever eat?
We have this surplus.
This entire amount of pasta. It's like for 4 people.
And have you guys noticed, at least I'm this way, when there's more food, I eat more. When there is more, I'll eat more.
I almost feel guilty too, because I'm like, oh, I left it.
But when there's less, and you're like, wow, this is really special. This is special. It almost makes you enjoy it more because you're like, wow, like this is a special thing.
Yeah.
And and so, yeah, I think that there's something to that too. Like, I think we need to, what if we care more about what we're eating? What if we care more about the quality of the ingredients that we're putting into our body? I think we actually need to eat less. When you use higher quality products, they usually have higher nutritional value, and then you actually need to eat less of them.
Good point.
But when you're just filling your body with junk, it's never going to feel like, but then again, I'm going to totally contradict what I'm talking about. You know, peanut M&Ms may be classified as junk, but they make you feel really good. So everything that I just said is totally like, you know.
And that's in my own head. You know, it's like I have 3 peanut M&Ms. And again, I'm going to say that weird thing. It has the chocolate. It has the peanut.
No, you're on something with that. It totally does. I get it.
For whatever reason, I've convinced myself.
But do you think a good food store natural version of the peanut M&Ms would make you feel as good as a peanut M&M?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You do?
If they made them.
They do.
Like a peanut M&M?
I will buy you them.
They don't make the
Yes, they do.
They don't have a
They're called sun drops. Yes, they do.
No,
they're called sun drops, but they're dyed with like beet and carrot. I will buy you some. They're in the bulk section.
I would eat those if they look like a peanut.
Well, they're not as bright, and they don't have an M on them, but they're dulled down.
And they have a nut in them.
Yes, they have a nut in them.
Yeah, I could eat that.
They have a peanut in them.
Yeah, I could eat
but
that.
I'm also curious if maybe they wouldn't make you feel as good because you don't have the attachment.
That's a very good point.
The value tied into them.
The power of the brain and
is insane.
Yes, right. And we all know that in terms of placebo effect.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff that, you know, what we attach to something, what the brain attaches to, we tell ourselves. And we can give people placebos. You might have a liver disorder, and we might say, this is a placebo. It's going to make your liver feel better, but it is a placebo. And people will physically feel better. And we'll measure their liver, you know, issue or whatever, and enzymes or whatever, and they're better. But it's the brain believing it. And then changing its own chemistry.
Yes,
like
changing its own chemistry.
How
totally
crazy is that?
Totally.
Doesn't work every time, but it works quite a bit. So that's fascinating too.
That's totally fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Now, part of me though, it just doesn't want to support companies that I don't believe in their mission and values. And so for me,
it wouldn't work for you.
I would rather support organic companies that I feel like have more integrity than some of the bigger companies that I think just push out cheap food. To make a lot of money. But if I didn't have that belief system, or if that wasn't a value of mine, then I bet I could feel better eating, you know, some of the foods that you're talking about. If I really attached that belief in them making me feel good, I bet I could.
And it almost like when I ate those foods during that time period when the blood sugar was so off, it was like I felt better. So it's almost like I attached so much importance to them.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Totally.
So I was like, yes, this is my lifesaver. This will make me get through my day. And I still believe that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting for me. Like, I cannot eat, if I'm really hungry, fruit is going to derail me. I completely lose it when I eat sweet stuff when I'm really hungry. Like, tonight we were driving home from the workshop, and I'm like, I need some food. And it was like, do you want this or do you want olives? I'm like, give me the olives. Like, I know that when I'm starting to get, like, really hungry, I need salty, and I prefer fat. So I had olives and cheese.
Salt
and I was like,
fat.
That's what I need.
And that's because, again,
that's what I need.
We'll get back to that point. You are the expert on you.
Yes.
So continue to stay curious about what works for your body.
Totally.
You might have someone telling you something and you're trying and you're like, I still don't feel good when I do that.
Good when I do that. Yeah.
Then stay curious.
But I think the problem is people don't know what foods make them feel good and what foods make them don't feel good because they are. And I'm not saying you guys. I'm not saying you listeners because I feel like a lot of.
But they don't have trust with their bodies or whatever. They're not having a good communication system with their body.
I think. But the average American, I'll just talk for Americans. I think the average American is really not tuned into how their body feels when they eat. I don't think they are. And so I think the first step is just really like we always say is create this dialogue and slow down and taste your food. And notice how is it making you feel? How is it making you feel? And then make your food choices based on that. And then, maybe you want to support your local bakery and your local dairy farm and your local butcher. To me, those things feel better. To you, I don't know if it matters so much.
Not so much. I think it should matter, but it doesn't matter as much. But I definitely, when I can buy that stuff, I do buy it, but it's not like I don't associate that I'm not going to feel better if I eat this particular. But don't you feel
better about your...
I feel better about my consumption practices, I think, in terms of ethically, as a human. And I think that's definitely something we should all start thinking about. Right. I mean, some of you are already obviously thinking about that, but for those of you who are like me, who don't think about it, and I think sometimes I come from a starvation background, which is it's almost like, just give me bacon. Like, I may not live today. That's not true, of course. But,
you have this is like, this could be my last day.
This could be my last mean? Sometimes I feel like this could be it. Yeah, this is my last meal, so I'm just going to eat this bacon.
Right.
And just be appreciative that I had bacon.
Right.
Thank you, pig, wherever you came from. Or and
it's interesting. I think we just need to, before we end this podcast, I think we need to touch on, you and I haven't talked about the physical in terms of, I'm just going to say it, fat. We haven't mentioned that yet in this conversation. How often do you make your food choices based on, is this going to make me fat or not?
Never.
Because I think that's a big thing for a lot of people.
Yes. I don't.
You don't?
No. Mm-mm. I do everything in moderation, obviously, because I came from a starvation background. But now I don't think about that. I don't think about it. It was a big part of my youth, but I don't know. Because my blood sugar got so bad that it almost rewired my brain.
Oh, interesting.
So I had terrible anxiety about starving to death. And what a weird thing. Of course, we live in a culture where my husband would say, you can go to the grocery store 2 blocks away.
There's food for you.
You are not going to starve here.
Yeah.
And I had someone read my, planets, and they were like, you've been in some sort of Holocaust. They were seeing something in my past where I had starved to death, and that it was coming up now in this life somehow, and that I was making me... And sometimes I feel like it's tapping into some weird, I could starve today. But of course, I'm not going to starve today.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So you're more concerned about starving or not starving versus, am I going to get fat from this or not?
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that was not me in my 20s.
Right.
But I had such a radical shift in my physical health that it had a radical shift for my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I feel like... maybe I think about that more. Maybe I think about it more than you do. But because I don't have the body type that you do either, I think you kind of have the luxury of not thinking about that, to be honest.
Well, I could still get fat.
Yeah, but I feel like you should be fat.
You should be real fat now, honey.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, yeah.
Most people who eat the way you do probably aren't going to have the luxury of staying really thin. And like someone like me, I don't know, but I do eat.
But you eat pretty good too. I mean, I don't see you like.
No, I don't.
Limiting your healthy food or.
I try not to limit I try to limit sugar, and I try to limit fried
food and food. Sometimes I crave fried food. It makes me sick.
But sometimes, oh my gosh! But again, if I have I'm gonna sound like a food snob right now. But if I have moulet frites, mussels and fries, and dipped in a yummy aioli, then I'm like, this is so good, and it's so good for me. But if I eat nasty fries from I don't know, sorry you guys, I don't want to offend anyone here, but Red Robin, I'm sorry, I know people love Red Robin fries. I think I would eat those fries. I do eat those fries. When I eat fries from places like that, I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. But if I eat a really good fry that I feel like was fried in good oil and then dipped in this yummy aioli, and I'm
just like mayonnaise.
Yeah, it is. It's mayonnaise. But I really feel like it has a different... For me, it's totally my brain.
Yeah,
it's totally my brain.
Yep. Yeah. Although
I'm not saying... What?
Sometimes I'll eat some bad fried food.
Oh, you get sick, and then you have diarrhea.
I get the diarrhea
real bad.
And it's almost like my body, dude, you cannot eat that. Yeah. But then if I eat good fried food, No,
I don't.
can't eat any
feel
fried
like your
food.
body doesn't really like.
I
fried
do
food.
crave it occasionally if I get super tired. I just feel like I have to eat. I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
And I'll wolf it down, but then sure enough, diarrhea.
It always comes back to diarrhea. Michelle, if you're listening, which of course you're listening, Michelle always laughs because she says every conversation in the office always comes back to diarrhea.
Diarrhea. What's better than talking about diarrhea? Huh?
Well, we're going to end our podcast with diarrhea.
How about constipation?
Not a problem for me, usually. Anyways. Well, on that poopy note.
On that poopy note, we're so glad that we got to talk about our diets and our food, and
super curious about you guys though. Like, how do you eat? How does food make you feel? How do you make your decisions based on food? Are you feeling food in your bodies? What fuels you?
Yeah, keeping that dialogue open, staying curious too. You know, what has your body told you in terms of what works for you and maybe what doesn't work for you? Because I think it helps everyone to kind of see that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, if you could write that out on the comments, even like, I found that this works for me.
Yeah.
You know, because we're all so different, but it's so helpful to read other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, maybe that would work for me.
Yeah. Like for me, my perfect way to start the day would be like a cup of coffee, green juice, and a really buttery croissant. You know, it's like, that is going to make me feel like $1 million. Give me pastries, lots of pastries, but give me a green juice and a cup of coffee.
And you gotta have butter with the pastry. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you need the fat.
You need the fat to counteract the sugar and the white flour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, figure out what makes you feel good. And then make good choices about where that food comes from. And I think we're golden.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway.
Thanks
for listening. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Go eat something delightful and delicious and enjoy every single morsel of it. And let us know how amazing you feel afterwards.
Yum, yum. Mm.